lots and lots of little worms.
At this edible insect farm in London, they know all about the benefits of eating worms and crickets. It began as a school project for their son 4 years ago, but it's grown into a successful business for husband and wife team Tom and Tiziana Mohan.
There's been a lot of interest, growing interest. Obviously for environmental reasons, people are becoming more aware of that. The footprint of the insect is very low compared with other sources of, similar sources of protein. And in fact, from a nutritional point of view, there are a lot of benefits of insects too, because they do contain a lot of protein.
Breeding crickets, mealworms and superworms, the larvae of a certain type of beetle, can produce around 50 kilograms of insects every 6 to 8 weeks. A kilo for the mealworms runs about $20 and $7 for a tub of 30 crickets. Specialist food chain Planet Organic has been stocking these packs of Jiminy's edible insects at its stores across London for a while.
Insect is going to be a part of our diet, daily diet. We think that it's going to take lots of time. We still have to educate people to eat insects. One of the solutions is to offer a large range of products with insects, from the whole dehydrated insect for the snack to the insect pastas, the energy bars.
And now, major UK supermarket chain Sainsbury's has started selling an edible insect product in 250 stores. Their own research found 1 in 7 people predict eating insects will become mainstream in the next 10 years or even sooner. According to the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, at least 2 billion people eat insects globally, but the UK has yet to develop a taste for them. And while it's claimed 10% of the population in this country has tried edible insects, there is still a long way to go to convince them that these are an alternative food source to meat or fish.
Save the planet is a big topic, so I guess, yeah, it's future.
Would you try some right now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Why not?
We found some keen customers at Planet Organic willing to try some crunchy grasshoppers.
It's all right.
Do you think you're both willing to try some of these today? Some of the Greek spices flavour? Would you give them a go?
You see, like fried potatoes or something.
And with concerns about over-farming and food sustainability increasing globally, these small and crunchy critters could be the next reliable food source for families around the world. Katie Gregory, TRT World, London.
Well, for more on this, let's go to Aaron Dossey, who's in Midwest City in the US state of Oklahoma. He's the founder and president of All Things Bugs, a company that develops sustainable, eco-friendly technologies from insects to improve food security and health. Welcome to Money Talks. Firstly, tell us, why did you decide to get into the business of bugs?
Well, I've always been interested in insects, and I went to a couple of conferences in 2010, 2011, and started to see this topic of insects as a protein source. And I'm a biochemist, so it just seemed to make a lot of sense. So I just did some research, and I actually applied for a research grant from the Gates Foundation, and received the funding. So I started doing research on processing insects initially.
Interesting. Now, we heard in that report that a lot of people are supporting this move for edible insects because it relieves the pressure on the environment. Explain to us, how does that happen?
So insects are efficient in a lot of ways. Their biochemistry and their biology allow them to be, they use very little water because their bodies are designed not to dry out. They don't use as much feed. You get a lot more body mass and protein for the amount of feed input because they don't generate their own body heat, so they're not using calories for that. And probably a lot of reasons we don't quite understand yet, but they require very small amounts of water and feed input to get a certain amount of edible protein out of them.
Interesting. And we also heard in that story that a major British supermarket chain, Sainsbury's, is really betting big on edible insects. They're stocking them in hundreds of their supermarkets across the country. Is there really a growing appetite for insects, not only in the UK, but I guess where you are, in the US as well?
There is. I think the more people learn about the benefits, the quality of protein you get and nutrition you get out of farm-raised insects, the lower ecological footprints, and just the wide variety of food products you can make with them. I think it intrigues a lot of people, and people, just a little bit of education can go a long way in getting people to try either an insect, or I think the future is really just processed food products like a pasta or a bar or an alternative meat with insects as an ingredient.
As we know, Asian cultures have been consuming insects for hundreds of years, really. So why are we only starting to see it develop in Western societies now?
I'm not really sure, other than maybe from Europe, and insects haven't been part of our cultural cuisine for a very long time. Whereas, as you say, it's the Asians eat lots of insects now, so that's continued in their culture for a long time. And I think it's just maybe how our food is developed. And there's some interesting articles out there I won't go into because I'm not an expert on anthropology, but I think there's probably a lot of different reasons. Maybe the temperate climates that Western cultures have come through and things like that.
Okay, Aaron Dossey, we will have to leave it there, but thank you again for joining us from Oklahoma.